Hi guys, so I'm back for another reading vlog. Are we getting bored of these yet? I don't know, I kind of love having my reading decided by some arbitrary set of rules and then taking you along on my journey of actually getting through those books on a vlog. I don't know, it's just getting me through at the moment, so I hope you're still enjoying this content because apparently it's still coming. And in today's video, if you haven't guessed by the title already, I'm going to be reading books that were chosen for me by other booktubers. So I got in touch with 3 booktubers who I absolutely adore and whose channels I would highly recommend you all go check out. They will be linked down below in the description box, and asked them to pick a book out of a selection of 48, I believe it was. I made a shelf on Goodreads of books I currently had access to that I remembered off the top of my head, which added up to 48, and they then picked one of those books each for me to read. Pretty self-explanatory, and I am so interested in the different things that they picked and their reasonings for picking them. So without further ado, let me tell you what each booktuber picked for me. So first up was Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. I love Ashley's content. We actually did a book haul swap a couple of months ago where Ashley picked what books I got sent in a haul, so I will link that video down below if you're interested as well. But she has such excellent taste. We both share a love of Greek mythology. She makes beautiful videos and Instagram content, as well as runs the Myth Takes read along, which is a book club essentially where they read books inspired by mythology and fairy tales and folk tales, and everything about her like online presence is just phenomenal. So I really wanted to have her pick a book for me, and the book that Ashley picked was The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson. So this is a book I actually picked up in a charity shop on a whim because it was super cheap and looked brand new and sounded interesting, but I haven't really read or heard many reviews of. Ashley, however, said it was a book that she loved and felt was incredibly underhyped. So that just felt absolutely perfect because I hadn't, like I said, read many reviews of this. I was just going on the back of the blurb. So to hear that Ashley really enjoyed it was really reassuring and has made me all the more excited to pick it up. From what I understand, this is a bit of a fantastical, paranormal mystery thriller. The blurb mentions that every winter wren silk is chased through the forest in a warped version of a childhood game, and that just sounds like it ticks all the boxes for what I'm wanting to read at the moment as well. So yeah, I don't want to like get my hopes up too high because then sometimes it can be difficult for books to live up to it, but I am super excited and glad that Ashley picked this book for me. Next up, I asked Shar from Thoroughly Enjoyed Books to pick me one from my list, and I have known Shar for many years now on BookTube. She used to have a different channel and is now over at Thoroughly Enjoyed Books, and if you haven't checked out her new channel, like I said, would highly suggest that you do. She has really diverse taste, always has something interesting to say about the books that she reads, and puts a lot of effort into her content. And as I'm sure you're waiting to hear, the book that Shar picked for me is Written on the Body by Jeanette Winterson. This is actually a super old edition that was my dad's, and I love Jeanette Winterson. That's something that Shar and I have in common. We're both big fans, and like me, this is one of the few Jeanette Winterson books that Shar hasn't read. So she picked this one because she wanted to hear my thoughts on it, not having read it herself, and knowing that we both loved Jeanette Winterson, and that sounds like an excellent reason to me. I don't think that Ashley or Shar were thinking this when they picked their choices, but it's funny to me that both of these books were in my spring TBR, so you guys have really helped push me to fulfill my promises on that one. I don't know exactly what this book is about. It was on my TBR because I love the author, and a lot of her work is quite surreal magic realism, so it's kind of difficult to even summarise, and you need to experience them for yourself. But I'll just tell you what the blurb tells me, which is Written on the Body is a love story. The narrator, a vulnerable and subversive Lothario, gender undeclared. Generous in scope, sumptuous in detail, Jeanette Winterson has fused mathematical exactness and poetic intensity and made language new. Again, sounds stunning and intriguing, but really tells me nothing. So hopefully I'll be able to do a better job of summarising this story for you once I've read it. And then I got my last book recommendation from Leanne over at Literary Diversions. Leanne is someone else that I've known for many years here on BookTube. She is a fellow Scot, so if you love the accent, you know where to go. Again, she reads a diverse selection of books, but I've always managed to get some fantastic fantastic thriller recommendations off of her over the years, and she also runs a beautiful online shop called Novel Menagerie, which is where I got my own pin flag from, and just wanted to let you know about it in case you hadn't seen it already. Now, Leanne did struggle between 3 books, but one of her choices was Asylum, and I've decided to go for that because it's available on audiobook on Scribd, and it'll just make it a little bit easier for me to read all 3 of these books in the next week if I have one on audiobook. Leanne, like Char, picked this one because she has it on her TBR and has had it on her TBR for ages, but is undecided on whether to read it or not, and feels like if I read it for her and let her know my opinion, she'll have more information in which to make that decision with. Asylum is a YA horror novel set at a college prep summer school. So we have a bunch of kids between high school and college who are attending this summer camp basically at an old asylum building in order to prepare for college. But obviously this building has a dark history that is seeping into the present. Now, I don't know if this is like realist thriller horror or if it's paranormal horror, but I'm so here to find out, and I think Madeleine Roux has quite a reputation as a sort of YA horror mystery writer, so it'll be really fun to try some of her work. But those are the 3 books that I am going to be reading throughout this video. Thank you so much to my wonderful booktube friends for helping me pick what to read and being involved in this video. Like I said, check all their channels out down below, and without further ado, let's get into the reading. I've kicked things off by starting listening to Asylum whilst I've been doing bits and pieces this morning, including cleaning and whatnot, and I'm already like a chunk of the way in. I didn't realise how short it was. It's only like 6 hours on audiobook, and I usually listen to audiobooks on 1.2 speed, which obviously doesn't make them that much quicker than normal, but that's usually what I like. So I have no doubt I'll probably finish this one quite quickly, maybe tomorrow or the next day, depending on like sort of what activities I'm doing that I can listen to audiobooks during. I'm not sure at this point in time. I don't know if it's unfair on this book that I just read the first 2 books in the Truly Devious series and loved those, because there's like a similarity in the premise, because we've got like a teen at a sort of like kind of boarding school, although it's a summer school, and a mystery and a like weird dark past to the building, but in this case I'm less endeared to the main character than I was in Truly Devious. I don't know, I feel like I need to not compare them, but at the same time that's just like what your mind naturally does, and I'm just like not wholly invested in the main character. Like, part of me just feels like the main character is about to turn around and become a serial killer. I'm not even entirely sure what I mean by that. I'm just not that invested or endeared towards him, and just wouldn't be surprised if like he turned around and was like, this girl doesn't want to date me, I'm gonna be a serial killer. So I don't know at this point. We will see. I'm hoping it gets really creepy though, because I'm in the mood for some horror, but I will just carry on and let you know how I go. I'm out. I am 40% of the way into the audiobook of Asylum, and I just can't keep going. It is not for me. I don't know, it's a combination of things, isn't it? I just feel like the pacing is way too fast. It's not a long book, like I mentioned, but it also just feels like I'm expected to accept a lot of like characters' relationship developments and like friendships on the basis of very little, because it's all very rushed, and I'm being told that scary things are happening, but I mean, are they? And the characters just don't feel that real to me. They feel quite dry, and like I'm very aware that an adult is attempting to write teenagers, which I know most YA is adults writing teenagers, but you want it to be believable, right? And it just all, I think, in part because of the pacing, just doesn't feel convincing. I don't feel endeared to the characters. They don't really feel complex or real to me, and I just cannot really be bothered. I just feel a bit cringy listening to it. I feel bad, and I don't know if it's also because I had such a good experience with Truly Devious, and in some ways this book is similar, but maybe not as good or as well executed, so I'm like more critical of it. But I also just think, like, why waste your time? And I don't feel too bad because I know Leanne didn't pick this one based on the fact that it's a favourite of hers. She only picked it because she wanted to know my thoughts. So I am sorry, Leanne. Now it's up to you whether you want to read it or not. But do you know what? I'm just going to DNF it. I thought I was going to power through because it's not very long. And, I've got like 3 hours left. But, you know, there's still other things I could be doing and would rather be doing. So I'm going to do one of them instead. Got done filming a video for my channel, which took me ages because I was trying to recommend books from all the genres and there was loads of requests on Instagram. So I hope that does edit down to a reasonable length, but I'm about to go make myself some lunch and then do some PhD this afternoon, and I realise I haven't updated you on my reading in like 2 days. I really haven't vlogged over the past couple of days, so I can't remember when I even started this vlog. I have no idea what's going on anymore. Time is meaningless, but I have done a little bit more reading since I last updated you. I planned to read the first chapter of The Wren Hunt and Written on the Body to then see which one I was in the mood for, but then I realised after reading the first chapter of The Wren Hunt and starting Written on the Body that Written on the Body doesn't have chapters. It's just one of those books that is just streams. It's just a flow. There's no chapters or breaks in it. So I've just kept reading that because it didn't feel like there was a natural place to stop, and I'm about 50 pages in at the moment. It's about 180 pages, so it shouldn't take too long to read, but it's a book that you do spend a little bit longer on sort of each sentence with, because Jeanette Winterson's writing is all about the writing. It's all about the words she chooses and the way that she constructs her sentences and her paragraphs and the thoughts and images that she conjures up, as opposed to any plot. This book is about one person's various love affairs, and one love affair in particular. You don't actually know if they're a man or a woman. I only realised that at around the 40-page mark because I reread the blurb, and I'd been assuming the whole time I was reading it that it was a woman. I don't know if that's because I'm a woman or because I know Jeanette Winterson's a woman, but it does actually stipulate on the back that the narrative never tells us the gender or sex of the narrator, so that's quite interesting, and I'm just enjoying returning to Jeanette Winterson's prose. She's just such a stunning writer. I would just love to rummage around in her brain in a really non-creepy way. Plus, like, everything she writes is just very, like, quotable, and you would sort of want to put it in a frame on your wall because it is just so well written, and that's kind of my main takeaway from her work. I wouldn't necessarily say this one's magic realism. There's no sort of magic realism elements so far. It feels quite contemporary and more of a musing on relationships and love, and it's interesting, but like I said, it's not really about plot. I'm not like invested in a storyline or expecting things to work out a certain way. I'm just along for the ride and the stream of consciousness more than anything else. So that's where I'm at with that. I read one chapter of The Wren Hunt, like I mentioned. It was super creepy, but I'm gonna wait to return to that one after I have finished Written on the Body, and in the meantime eat some lunch, do some PhD, and check in with you later. So you're still there. I have not been updating this vlog very much, but I just thought I would check in because lots of things, basically I have really lost my reading mojo a little bit over the past week. So as you know, I DNF'd Asylum and I've now finished Written on the Body, so I'm going to tell you about that. But it's been over a week. Like usually I like to do these kind of vlogs over the course of a week, and it has been more than a week. I think we're on like day 8 and I still haven't even really started reading book 3, which is The Wren Hunt. It's on my floor right now, so I'm not going to get it. But I am hoping to do that today. It's Sunday and I'm trying to have a chill day, but my mum's drains have like backed up in the bathroom, which is just like the kind of drama you don't need right now, isn't it? So they're sending somebody to fix them because obviously it's quite like imminent. You need like running water and everything like that, but obviously for their safety you need to like clear all the passageways for them and then like isolate in rooms so that they don't come in contact with you, like to be respectful because they're still working during all of this and going out to people's houses, which I mean, oh my goodness, thank you so much. But yeah, so it's like a bit of a weird day and I was just kind of like on the sofa yesterday as well because it was just a kind of stressful week overall and we got some bad news, but I just wanted some time to like chill out and read, which was when I finished Written on the Body, which I will say I have kind of mixed feelings about, and it's not because the book isn't freaking beautiful. Like this book is such a testament to Jeanette Winterson's writing. She is the most gorgeous writer. She creates the most gorgeous imagery. Like I adore her writing. This is an excellent example of that. It's very much all about, as I mentioned, this love affair, this relationship between our protagonist and this woman called Louise, and all of the protagonist's sort of like past relationships and musings on love, and growing into different relationships and sort of just kind of like changing attitudes to what you look for in love. But it ended up being a surreptitious cancer book which I am going to mention. I'm not going to go into detail about, but the book does end up dealing in detail with cancer. And I just feel quite sick reading about cancer. Like it's like I have a physical reaction to it ever since like my dad was diagnosed and passed away from terminal cancer. I just don't like reading about it. I mean, it's one thing obviously when it's just sort of like, oh, a character in a book has a relative who passed away from cancer in the past and it's not gone into detail, but in this case it felt like quite a large part of the novel. So I wanted to mention that in case you're like me and have personal experience with it and just find it really difficult to read about. So I thought the book was beautiful and would really recommend it, but at the same time I haven't rated it on Goodreads because I didn't really enjoy reading a chunk of it because it was just like I just felt quite physically sick. But I wanted to finish it because it wasn't very long, and I wanted to see how it worked out. So I did that, and now I'm going to try and read The Wren Hunt today, like I mentioned. And I'm really hoping to enjoy that one because so far my reactions to what I've read in this vlog have been all over the place. But yeah, also just wanted to mention that, you know, it's all very well if you feel like, oh, I'm getting so much reading done, and then you hit a slump during this period. Like, don't expect all this consistency. I was reading tons for a couple of weeks there, and now I'm just struggling a little bit. So I just want to like reassure you that if you're finding yourself in a similar position, that's like totally okay. Otherwise, there have been some nice moments this week. I did a live stream write-in on my channel, which some of you were there for, and that was so much fun. Like, I had so much fun writing with other people and I totally want to do it again. I'm so pleased I did that. And tonight is my flatmate back in London's birthday Skype, so that's why I've actually put some foundation on so that like I don't know, I feel like I need some foundation on if I'm going to be in a group call. And other than that, like I said, just planning on kind of reading today, maybe doing a little bit more writing and just trying to have a chill Sunday amidst the drain problems. But I don't really know what I'm saying anymore, so I'm gonna go. I'm a few chapters into The Wren Hunt now, and I have to say I'm really surprised I haven't seen more people talk about it, because I feel like, given some of the other really popular sort of YA fantasy on Booktube, it would be so many people's cup of tea, and I really hope people discover it, because I think from what I've enjoyed so far, that others would really enjoy it as well. Basically, it's set in this village and we follow our main character Ren, who's like a teenage girl, and she's descended or part of a sort of like coven slash like druid circle, like a magical family slash group, but like long time ago their people sort of split into two categories and became like mortal enemies. So there's like two different groups of sort of like witches slash druids in this world living amongst normal people, and every year in her village the boys play this game where they chase her through the forest, which is super creepy because of an old sort of folk story, and they try to sort of like recreate that folk story even though she doesn't want to be involved, and that's kind of how the book opens, and it was like really unnerving. But now we're getting more into sort of Ren's background and the little like hints of magic and the relationship between these different people who are called the augurs and the judges, and I'm interested to see where it will go. It's definitely been quite unnerving so far, but I also think it's quite beautifully written. Like, I'm really impressed by Mary Watson's writing, and if I continue to enjoy this book, I'm curious to see what else she's written. So yeah, I feel like I completely understand why Ashley feels this one's underhyped if the first like 4 or 5 chapters are anything to go by. But yeah, I thought I'd just update you, and now I'll go back to reading it.
Question number 1. Which rock hero created Ziggy Stardust and the Thin White Duke?
This vlog is not going well. It's the next day and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I just can't. I literally just got back in my bed just now. It's like, no, I'm done. We've still not got the plumbing fixed, and my mum has an operation on Thursday, and it's just like, I mean, again, like I said, it is a massive ask for somebody to come out and do this right now, but also like we don't have multiple bathrooms and we need running water and a tap in the sink in the bath and stuff, just because my mum needs to kind of like be clean before going to the hospital, but especially after, like, you know, you kind of want to disinfect when you go out and spend that much time out in the world. It's been a very stressful day. Just been sort of watching water build up in our bath and dirt, and it's lovely. And I just can't concentrate on a book, so goodness only knows when I'm going to finish the Wren Hunt. I think I've read the first 5 chapters, so I've still got a bit of a way to go. And I just laugh through the stress. That's kind of what I always end up doing. But yeah, I just can't anymore. I mean, I've got loads of work I should be doing. Loads of work. But can my mind focus? Absolutely not. I swear I'm not going to stay in my bed. I'm going to go make myself some lunch, and then hopefully the food will give me a little bit of a boost to do some work. And then maybe this evening I'll get some reading done. Maybe we'll get the plumbing fixed by the end of the day. Maybe. I mean, I know there's still worse problems to have, but they're still stressful when you're dealing with them. And I know this doesn't really count as a reading update, but hashtag real life, and real life affect your reading, so relevant. The drain issues just got worse and worse and worse, and are just going to carry on into tomorrow. So I felt like you might want an update. So this is what our bathroom currently looks like, but I think it works! Praise be the plumber from Dynarod. We have taken 3 days and multiple plumbers and many hours, but I think we may have a working shower. Praise be Dynarod. Thank you, plumbers. So I feel like I should just quickly like clarify all of that. Drain pipes, awful, no water, bathroom, nah. We now have water. 3 days later, some awesome plumbers, after a while, managed to fix it. But we did have to deconstruct all of the panelling around the bath and have some floorboards pulled up, so that was fun. But do you know what? We can wash, and in the middle of this, washing is all you really care about, priorities. And to be honest, I don't even think it would have been as stressful or as worrying if it wasn't for the fact that my mum has this operation. But I'd also like to clarify on that it's a pretty routine operation, and although she's going under general anaesthetic and there's a chance it might be overnight, it probably shouldn't be, and it shouldn't really be anything to worry about. So I don't just want to drop my mum's having surgery into a vlog and then not clarify. It should be quite straightforward and minor, really, in the grand scheme of things. So that's kind of where my life's at. Have I done any more reading? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But maybe now I will. So tonight could be the night that I continue on with the Wren Hunt, because you know, this is meant to be a reading vlog. I started this vlog 3 weeks ago, but I'm finishing it now. That's all that matters. I have read The Wren Hunt. Yes, I can officially say it. I did finish 2 out of 3 of the books, but I mean, the first one was an official DNF. I was not gonna keep plodding through that. So, what did I think of The Wren Hunt? That's why I'm here, right? I really enjoyed this one, actually. I can totally see why Ashley recommended it. It's got a lot of things I think we both enjoy in a book. So it's a YA sort of paranormal fantasy, a little bit dark in moments, and it follows our main character Wren, who's part of a group of druids. So they're sort of like in this world, it's our world, but there's these sort of like 2 families from different sort of druidic traditions that don't sort of get on. And they know who the other druids are, who are called the judges, but the judges don't know that they're the augurs. They don't know that they're some of their enemies, and they're living in sort of secret, but also sort of trying to spy on the judges. And there's a bit of a Romeo and Juliet element in there. I think that's sort of like in the blurb and sort of one of the marketing points of this book. But yeah, so sort of judge, augur, boundary crossing, but also like so many dark secrets. And I really in particular loved the sort of folklore that the author wrote into this book. So she created folklore to go behind the stories of these druids, these magic practitioners, stories behind their powers, their magic, their relationship with each other and the land, and these little folk tales that they base their own sort of practices and legends on. And I thought those were so beautiful, like so creative, so beautifully written, like one of my favourite things about the whole series. And I think it just added this real layer of intricacy and detail and magic to the story that I was so impressed with. But it was also kind of creepy and dark in points. It wasn't necessarily as creepy as I thought it was going to be, but it certainly had a sort of dark underside to it. So I think if you like magical, dark fantasy YA, then you would really like this book. I think it's a book that a lot of people would really enjoy, and I would highly recommend it because I don't see a ton of people talking about it. And book 2 literally just came out this month, I think, so perfect time for me to have read book 1, because now I can sort of get my hands on book 2 and carry on with the series, which I'll definitely be doing. Really impressed by this author's writing. We'll probably read more by them and see what they do in the future. But yeah, so that was like a real win there, so thank you, Ashley. It took me a while to get to that one, it took me a while to finish that one, but once I did get sort of past that halfway point, I couldn't put it down. I sort of binge read that last 50% the past 2 days, and I'm really glad that I did read it. I just had a bit of like a slow start because of the madness that was the past few weeks. So apologies if this vlog's been a little bit all over the place, but I was not going to fail. I was going to finish this vlog, even if it meant it being a little bit jumpy and erratic. So hopefully it's not been too painful to watch, and you've still enjoyed it. I'd love to hear if you've read any of the books I talked about here. Did you share similar feelings to me? I mean, did you love Asylum and hate Wren Hunt? I don't know. I'd love to know. But it was really fun sort of having some other booktubers pick my TBR. It got me to read some books I'd been meaning to read for ages, and it was really fun knowing that they'd picked them for me. So I really enjoyed that aspect of this video. If you'd like something similar to this again in the future, more reading vlogs, let me know what kind of themes or ideas you would like me to go with in the future. But yeah, until then, I think that's a wrap. I think you have bared with me long enough, and I will see you all again in the next one.